Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I receive a massive volume of messages from people who have just discovered this channel asking about the exact same things. Money they were told they might be legally entitled to but never received. Payments they applied for months ago and then heard absolutely nothing back on. Pension amounts that look and feel significantly smaller than they rightfully should be. Today, I want to thoroughly go through 5 very specific, substantial payouts that a massive number of pensioners are entitled to right now, yet are completely missing out on. Some of this will be familiar if you have been watching for a while, but the rules, thresholds, and exact figures have shifted in a couple of critical places this year. I want to ensure that absolutely everyone watching has the complete picture, so you do not leave a single penny on the table. Before we dive into the details, please take a second to subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell. The official rules surrounding the state pension and Department for Work and Pensions benefits shift every single year. When those rules change, absolutely nobody from the government is going to call you up to explain your new options. You have to find out yourself, and that is exactly why I am here. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that many pensioners could be eligible for a new extra support payment of £200. If you have not heard about this yet, I have left detailed information from an official source in the comments below the video. Make sure to check it out. And now, let us move on to the topic of today's video. Payout number 1, inherited state pension from a late spouse. I want to start here because this is precisely where the gap between what people are actually receiving and what they are legally entitled to is the absolute largest in pure financial terms. If your spouse or civil partner passed away and they were on the old state pension system, meaning they reached state pension age before April 2016, you may be fully entitled to inherit a portion of their additional state pension built up through SERPS over their working life. Depending entirely on your late spouse's exact date of birth, you could inherit between 50% and 100% of that specific amount permanently on top of your own weekly pension. In real terms, this can easily be worth several £100s a year over a 20-year retirement, equivalent to tens of thousands of pounds in total income. The DWP is technically supposed to review this automatically when a death is reported through the Tell Us Once service, but that automatic review does not always happen correctly. Countless widows and widowers are receiving far less money than they are legally owed. Here is the version of this situation that I hear about most often. A woman in her early 70s lost her husband. He had worked full-time for over 35 years under the old pension system and built up a very substantial SERPS entitlement. She contacted the DWP to report the death and simply continued receiving her own regular pension. She assumed that the authorities had looked into her entitlement and that her current amount accurately reflected everything she was legally owed. It did not. The inherited SERPS top-up had completely failed to be applied correctly. The official correction added over £40 a week to her pension permanently and generated a massive, backdated lump sum payment covering the years she had been underpaid. If you are currently widowed and your late spouse reached state pension age before April 2016, do not just assume the government got it right. Ring the Pension Service bereavement line on 0800 731 0469 and ask this question: has my pension been fully reviewed for inherited SERPS entitlement from my late spouse's record? And am I receiving the correct amount? That simple question takes less than 5 minutes to ask, and it could change your income permanently. Payout number 2, the DWP underpayment correction for women on the old state pension. This issue has a strict deadline that is creeping up much closer than most people realize. Between January 2021 and March 2025, the DWP identified 130,948 cases where women were systematically underpaid the state pension they were legally owed. The total amount exceeds a staggering £800 million. The average financial correction for married women has been around £5,500. For widows, over £11,000. This correction exercise continues until March 2027. The DWP has confirmed that it has completed the majority of automatic reviews and is waiting for women to come forward themselves, particularly women whose husbands reached state pension age before March 2008. A woman who had been receiving the same pension amount for over a decade contacted the DWP after her daughter mentioned the underpayment scandal. Her husband had retired in 2005. The automatic uplift based on his NI record had never been applied. Following her query, her pension increased by over £90 a week from the date of the correction, and the missing money arrived as a significant lump sum. She spent years assuming the authorities knew exactly what they were doing. They had not, and she accepted the wrong figure without question. If you were a woman who reached state pension age before April 2016 and your pension has always seemed lower than you expected, or if your late husband reached state pension age before March 2008, you must take action. Ring the pension service on 0800 731 0469 and ask for a review. Do not wait for a letter. This exercise closes in March 2027. After that, the opportunity is gone forever. Payout number 3. Attendance Allowance. This is the single most underclaimed benefit in the entire British retirement system, and the urgency surrounding it is real. Attendance Allowance pays £76.70 a week at the lower rate, or £114.60 a week at the higher rate, up to £5,959 a year for anyone over state pension age who has a physical or mental health condition that impacts their daily life. It is completely tax-free. There is no income test and no savings limit whatsoever. It does not matter whether you own your home, have a private pension, or have money in the bank. What actually qualifies includes arthritis that makes it difficult to dress or get out of bed, problems with vision or hearing, early-stage dementia where someone requires prompting to stay safe, Parkinson's, or heart failure. What the DWP assesses is never your diagnosis, but how your condition affects your daily life. Attendance allowance can only be backdated to the exact date your claim form arrives at the DWP, not to when your condition started. Every single week you wait is a week of payments between £76 and £114 that you will permanently lose. Ring 0800 731 0122 today and request the AA1 form. That phone call locks in your start date. You then have 6 weeks to return the completed form. Payout number 4, carer's allowance, and the hidden concept of underlying entitlement that almost nobody claims. Carer's allowance pays £86.45 a week for individuals who provide at least 35 hours of care per week to someone receiving a qualifying benefit like attendance allowance. Most pensioners caring for a partner at home assume they cannot receive this because their state pension is higher than £86.45, and they have been told the two cannot be paid together. That incorrect assumption costs them real money every year. Consider a woman in her late 60s caring for her husband who received attendance allowance. She looked into carer's allowance but was told she could not receive it because her state pension exceeded the limit. She assumed that was the end of the matter. What nobody explained was this. Even when carer's allowance cannot be paid in cash due to overlapping benefits, applying and receiving a technical entitlement, known as underlying entitlement, unlocks an additional payment through pension credit called the carer addition. In the 2026 to 2027 financial year, this carer addition is £48.15 a week, over £2,500 a year. She was entitled to this for 3 years, but received nothing because she never applied. Apply for carer's allowance, get the response confirming underlying entitlement, and contact the pension credit team. Ring 0800 731 0297 today. Payout number 5, The state pension backdating lump sum that the DWP will not mention. If you have reached state pension age but have not yet put in your claim, this matters immensely, and there is a strict window. When you claim your state pension, you are allowed to request backdating of up to 12 months. You do not need to explain why you did not claim earlier. You simply ask when you call. The DWP then pays every week of state pension you were entitled to, going back up to a full year as a lump sum with your first regular payment. On the full new state pension of £241.30 a week, 12 months of backdating comes to over £12,500 in a single payment. On the full basic state pension of £184.90 a week, it is over £9,600. The DWP will not raise this option when you call. You have to know to ask, and you have to ask within 12 months of reaching state pension age, because after that window closes, those payments are gone permanently. A man who delayed making the call for 9 months put it off due to personal difficulty. When he rang, nobody mentioned backdating. He found out later, but his 12-month window had passed. The money was gone. If you have not claimed, ring the pension service on 0800 731 7898 and say clearly, "I would like to backdate my claim to the earliest possible date." To make sure you have all of this clear, let us do a quick summary of the actions you need to take right now. For inherited SERPS from a late spouse, ring 0800 731 0469 and ask whether the uplift has been applied. For the DWP underpayment correction for women, ring 0800 731 0469 before March 2027. For attendance allowance, ring 0800 731 0122 today to lock in your start date. For carers allowance underlying entitlement, ring 0800 731 0297 to start the process. For the state pension backdating lump sum, ring 0800 731 7898 and ask for backdating to the earliest possible date. None of these come looking for you. The single step that separates the people who receive this money from the people who do not is knowing it exists and making the call. Subscribe, share this with someone you know who is on the state pension, and I will see you in the next video.